Awesome. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us today for Zero Waste Day. We are just welcoming our schools in on Zoom and YouTube. So while we all get situated, I have a couple of trivia questions for us to do just to give everybody a chance to join. So as we go through these trivia questions, you are welcome to type your students' answers in the chat. If you're joining on YouTube, please type in the chat as well. My colleague Sarah would love to share your answers with us over here on Zoom. And to my guest presenters, you are all welcome to answer in the chat as well, because these are some tricky questions. So I don't know if we know the answers to them. So my first one is, how many tons of food do we think is wasted in Canada every hour? Now, if you're confused about the pictures, I tried to help us understand how much all of these weights are. So do you think every hour we waste 8 tons of food, which is about the size of a T-Rex? Every hour, do we waste 200 tons of food, about the size of a house? Or is it 2,500 tons, the size of a giant sequoia tree? Or do we waste 6,000 tons, about the weight of the Eiffel Tower? Okay, so I see I have an A coming in the chat already, a B and a D. We've got a mixture coming through. How much do we think we waste in Canada? And I will give you guys one more minute to get your answers in for this one. Awesome, a lot of C's. I'm getting a lot of C's. Okay, I think most of us think it's C's. And Canada does waste a lot of food. We have a couple of students here today that are going to be talking a little bit about what they're doing in their school to help with food waste. So if you're going to be shocked by this answer, don't worry, we have a solution for you. So the correct answer for this first one, okay, sounds good, Mala. For this first one, the correct answer is 6,000 tons every hour. So every hour in Canada, we waste the same amount as the weight of an Eiffel Tower. So food waste, about 60% of it could be avoidable in Canada just through better planning and awareness. So that would reduce that by more than half. Okay, question number 2. How long do you think it takes a plastic bottle to decompose? What do we think? And this is approximately, all of them change depending on what the plastic is made out of, and some environmental factors. Does it take 30 years, 250 years, 450 years, or 1,000 years? So I'm seeing Zenon is saying A, 30 years. We've got a D from Corbin, thinks 1,000 years. Owen is thinking 1,000 years. Okay, some C's, some D's. What are the rest of us thinking? Now, the trick with plastics as well is they don't just break down all at once. They break into tiny pieces called microplastics, which we're going to hear a little bit about today as well. Maverick is thinking it's C. We're getting a mixture of C's and D's, a couple B's. The correct answer for this one is 450 years. So that means that every single piece of plastic that has ever been made on planet Earth is still in the environment. So all of the plastic that you have ever used and seen is still sitting in our environment today. Kind of scary to think about. All right, our next question, our last question. How much water does it take to produce one cotton t-shirt? So a lot of us are probably wearing a cotton t-shirt right now. How much fresh water do we think it takes to make that cotton t-shirt? Okay, and just a reminder, this is 1 liter. So do we think it's 5 of these, 360 of these, 1,400 of these, or 2,700? Okay, some A's and B's. Owen says B. Okay, some mixtures of B's and C's. Zen is saying C. Maya says D. Okay, and last chance, get your answers in for this one. And the correct answer for this one is 2,700 liters. So one of the highest uses of water is to produce cotton. It's a very, very thirsty plant. That's why it's super important to buy secondhand clothing. One of the ways that we can reduce our waste. So thank you for participating and giving everybody a chance to join us. I want to do an official welcome to the start of Zero Waste Day, a Waves of Change celebration. We're going to be joined by lots of different people that are going to be sharing lots of different ways that you can go zero waste in your life. It's a very full event, so we're going to get right to it. First, I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining from the Misswauchiwaskayikan. This is colonially known as Edmonton, Alberta, and it's found on Treaty 6 territory. This land has been the traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to many groups, including the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and the Nakota Sioux for time immemorial. I also want to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that you are all on today, since we're meeting on a virtual platform and it's covering many different lands and territories that we each call home. So acknowledging our traditional Indigenous lands that we reside on is an important first step in the reconciliation process, and it can help us improve our relationship with our environment and the diverse peoples who have served as protectors of this land for time immemorial. We're very lucky to be able to look deeper into our connection with this land and explore how we can help give back to the earth in a meaningful way today. So I invite you all during our event to really keep this in the front of your minds and think about that connection that you have to your land as you're thinking about ways that you can reduce your waste. Now, I did want to give a big welcome to all of our schools that were able to join us today, because we have schools from across Canada, as well as a couple of different countries joining us. You will hopefully see your school up there listed. We have a few different home schools, some friends from Argentina, our friends from UAE, and we're joined from students from coast to coast. So if you would like to, you can take a minute in the chat to say good morning, hello, and let us know what city or what country you're joining from. That would be awesome to see. And a little reminder before we get started, we have a really full agenda. If you have questions during the event, we would love for you to type them in the chat. However, we might not get to them while we're doing the presentation. We may be saving them for the end during our kind of discussion section, but we will make sure that we try to get to as many questions as we can. Now, I am getting a message from our presenter at Oceanwise that her fire alarm is going off. So we are actually not going to go to Mala first. I am going to welcome my friend Jacob from GreenLearning to start off. Sorry to put you on the spot, Jacob, but we are going to have to skip her, and hopefully we get the fire alarm under control and she can still share. But I would like to welcome Jacob. Jacob provides direct support to educators and school boards and engages with partners while facilitating GreenLearning's workshops and challenges. Sharing his passion for the environment through education, Jacob has brought learners to the outdoors and the outdoors to learners. Sparking curiosity and a desire to take action, Jacob works to equip learners and educators with the tools and community for making positive change. So welcome, Jacob. Sorry for throwing you on the spot, but I hope you're ready to go.
Yeah, no problem at all. Just give me one moment to pull my presentation up here. But I'm very excited to be joining today and speaking about Zero Waste Day, and also can't help but take note that it's also Earth Month right now, which has a theme of planet versus plastics, which also I feel overlaps very well with what we're going to be chatting about today. So yeah, thank you, Rebecca, for the introduction. And so as Rebecca said, my name is Jacob, and I'm from the organization GreenLearning. And so I'm going to be talking today about and kind of focusing in around different opportunities that we can take action relating to zero waste, and how we can kind of, especially when relating to plastics, kind of coming back to that Earth Month, and this being a very exciting time when the world is warming up and we want to get outside and start taking action and things like this. And so, as Rebecca mentioned as well, I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge the land that I am speaking from today. And so I'm joining from what we now call Hamilton, Ontario. And so this land is the traditional territory of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas peoples, and which was acknowledged in the, this land was also acknowledged in the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement, which really focused for the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around these Great Lakes. And as you can see where I am, I'm absolutely surrounded by them. And so it's something that's very important to me. And with Rebecca's comment of, with all our plastics that we have, that all that we've created are still sticking around today, I think it's a great kind of thing that we can think of for sort of starting to take responsibility for the impacts that we've had on this environment and the lands and the waters, and what we can do to kind of start taking some action. And so just quickly, here at GreenLearning, where we create free online education programs and opportunities for action that relate to energy, climate change, and most relevant for today, kind of green economy. And so these all focus in on not only kind of teaching you and helping learn about these maybe more complex kind of subjects, but also taking opportunities to get involved and take action and see some change. And so the first thing that I want to talk about today is actually doing a little bit of true or false. Let's check the knowledge of everyone that's joined here today. So I've got a few questions. If you can, feel free to use the Zoom poll or the Zoom chats to kind of let us know what your thoughts are, if you think it's true or false. If you're in your classroom or maybe in a group, you can always just kind of give a thumbs up if you think it's true or thumbs down if you think it's false. But without further ado, let's do our first question here. So, question one, all plastic items are recyclable. And just for the sake of time, we'll take maybe like 15 to 20 seconds for each of these. So speed run through our questions. So what do we think? All plastic items are recyclable, true or false?
Also, I'm looking at my question on the polls, and I don't know how many times I've launched the same true or false poll question, and there's 2 W's and choose the correct answer were. How many times have I used this? Apologies, everyone.
Now everyone will see it as well. You could have got away with it.
Maybe.
Sweet. And so with that, I'll just end and share. All right, if you were thinking that the correct answer would be false, you are correct, that not all plastics are recyclable. And so you may have learned about this already, but something that you can do is check on the items themselves for that little recycling symbol. And that will give you kind of a number and tell you a little bit more about it and whether or not that item can be recycled. All right, next one here. About 40%, so just under half of plastics are made for single use. And when I say single use, I mean they're being made to be used once and then thrown away after. So about 40% of plastics. Do we think that this is true or false? Oh, this one's a little more split. All right. I threw maybe a little bit more of a curveball with this one. We'll see. So just taking maybe another kind of 5 or so seconds to get your thoughts in. All right. And so if you were thinking that it can't be true, that must be false, that 40% of our plastics are made for single use, you would actually be incorrect. It is true. A large portion, so 40%, almost half of all the plastics that we are making are only being used once before they're thrown away. And so what is a single-use plastic? I kind of mentioned it's something that's being used once and sort of tossed after. But these are things like straws and bottles, packaging, especially food packaging was mentioned, like kind of mentioning food and food waste in an era of where we're getting lots of food delivered and picked up and these kind of things. Those food waste packages are kind of, they pile up quickly, let's say. And so with this, we can go into our next question. And our last one here. So over half of all plastics in Canada are recycled. So we think this is true or false. So over half of all the plastics that we have here in Canada end up going through that recycling process. So what do we think here? Give another 10 seconds or so here. Ooh, this one's a little split as well. We'll see. All right. And so the final kind of drum roll, if you felt that this would be false, there's no way that over half of all our plastics in Canada are recycled. Unfortunately, you are correct. Only about 9% of the plastics that we have here in Canada end up being recycled. And so this is a good, while it's kind of a troubling thing to learn, it's a good example of why recycling is a great way to kind of help keep our waste out of landfills, and kind of it's one of those steps along that process that can kind of help keep plastics out of our environment, but it's just not the solution to this issue. And so we need to think about our waste and where that waste is coming from and start looking for more sustainable practices or ways that we can kind of change our system so that we don't have all of this plastic that's kind of going into either our landfills or going into our environment. And so this is where we at GreenLearning are always very excited to teach about something called our linear economy and circular economy, which maybe as you're hearing them don't sound all that exciting, but I'll kind of walk through them quickly here. And so our linear economy is the way our system in Canada here works right now. And so when I say economy, I just mean it's kind of the way we make things, the way people spend and earn their money. And so with a linear economy, we take things from the earth, for example, oil, like as a resource. We then make something with this resource. So we're taking it from the earth, we make something with that. We have to deliver whatever it is that we've made out to the people so that they can access them. And then we can use whatever that is. So, for example, here we're talking about a plastic water bottle. We've taken some oil from the earth. We've brought that to a factory that allowed us to make our plastic water bottle. We've delivered our water bottle out, and now I have used it. We can pretend, well, this is plastic, I guess, but not necessarily a single use one. And so once we use it, we then dispose of it. And in a linear economy, the system we kind of exist in right now, that is the end of the line. And so we take something, and over time, we end up bringing it and it ends up in a landfill, and that's kind of the where it stops. And so when I was mentioning just a minute ago about we need to make some big changes, change the system, change the way we're doing things, this is where we get really excited about something called our circular economy, which with if you're maybe hearing linear and then circular, you might be able to start drawing some conclusions. But with this system, when we take something from the earth, not only are we making things with it, but there's also a step of remaking, taking some old usage. I've got some pictures here of examples of maybe kind of remaking something like a t-shirt into a bag and taking opportunities to kind of not let those waste products kind of go to waste. And so we still have that deliver. We need to get these things to people that allow us to use, but not only use, similar to remaking, we can reuse things. Those water bottles, for example, I can continue to use it. I can repair things to help keep my items and different things from ending up in the landfill so that when we get to that dispose step, we're not kind of just dumping everything in the landfill and forgetting about it. We want to recycle and enrich our systems that we have. This is where recycling has an amazing kind of part to play because it can help keep those waste products from reaching the landfill. And so I know this is probably a lot to take in, but just can't help but get excited and talk about this, especially when we're talking about zero waste, because we want to try to create a system that works a lot more like what we see here on Earth, these natural circular systems that kind of help themselves keep going. And so while I'm talking all about this big change and we need to change the way we do things here in Canada, what you might be thinking is what can we do or what can I do as an individual? And so my first answer is lots. There's lots of things that you can do to take action. Refusing to use plastics when you don't need them, reducing the amount of plastics that you're using. Like I mentioned earlier, reusing bottles and different things, trying to find a kind of repurpose and find new life. Alongside recycling. But I want to just expand a little more or talk a little bit more about repurposing but also educating others. And so, Green Learning, we have a couple of exciting ways to sort of take action and get involved this Earth Month and for Zero Waste Day. And so, the first one is that repurposing. So, finding new life for things that you may have previously just put into the recycling bin or to the landfill. And so that might be using plastic bottles to create planter boxes, or as you can see in the little picture there, the comic kind of picture, taking pants or different pieces of clothing and creating something new from them, like a bag or something similar. And so you can take things like this, where we've got a pile of water bottles or kind of waste products, and turn them into something like this, where we have it's kind of adding to that space and can even be a bit of an opportunity to be creative as well. And so to help create some structure and encourage people to get involved, Green Learning has this awesome thing that we call our Eco 360 challenge. And so it basically takes this and creates some kind of a challenge and competition around it. And so we've challenged educators and students here in Canada to create an invention out of the plastics that they have around them, whether that's in their classroom or those kind of in their our home or community, and create an invention that helps to kind of solve a problem that they can see in their community. And so in the past, we've had some groups created different kind of, this Somerset Academy, which won first last year. They had several students make different projects. A few of them, just for example, was very exciting, talking about creating a large ship that has a sea net to help us clean up garbage patches. And they did some really great research that we were excited to see. And then another kind of almost on the other side of things, where creating a beautiful mural to kind of encourage the use of repurposing for their garden space, where it's the mural on the right there is made completely out of bottle caps that were collected by students over a few months. And so if kind of taking action and getting out there by sort of creating something, or maybe kind of cleaning up some spaces outdoors of plastics and litter, if that isn't necessarily your scene, we have another great way to take action this Earth Month. We have Earth Month e-cards. And so e-cards, in like a very quick way of saying it, is GreenLearning will send a message on your behalf that you create. So it's kind of formal and feels very exciting and cool, and it gets posted onto our website if you'd like it. But this message is about plastics and why plastic waste is important, or sorry, reducing plastic waste is important to you. And so there's some quick examples on the screen there, but I'd also like to just show our web page here. So we're really excited. We want to kind of advocate for keeping plastics out of these spaces. And so these e-cards are just a great way that you can either kind of take some messaging and artwork, or a mix of both, and you can send it to somebody that you would like to kind of pass that message along to. So I'll just quickly kind of showing these here, but here's some more examples as well of some ones that we've made in the past. So we've got some groups that have a message they really want to put forward, but not necessarily the art. And so we've got some of those. We have some groups that created some amazing art to kind of put forward that message that they would like, without necessarily kind of having some words associated. And then there's also a kind of a mix of the two. And so there's some great options to get involved. Oops, sorry here, just clicking the wrong link. Great options to get involved. So the first step there, just think about why is reducing plastic waste really important to you. You can plan out whether you want to do a piece of art, or you have a message that you'd really like to share, and think about who you want to send that message to. Maybe it's friends or family that you think could take a little more actions to be plastic conscious. And then you can create that e-card online. And then after, if you'd like, we can kind of post it to our website and help you send that along. But as I'm reaching the end of my time limit here, I just want to say we're very excited about kind of taking some opportunities to take action. And so for GreenLearning, if you'd like to get involved with kind of repurposing some plastics, feel free to check out our Eco 360 challenge. And then if you would like to kind of help carry your voice and spread those messages, we encourage you to take a look at our e-cards. And so with that said, I want to say happy Earth Month, and excited to be joining today. And thank you for listening in and learning about some opportunities to kind of take some action.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jacob. And I just wanted to point out, remind everyone, if you don't have your chat open, I did pop a couple of links in there for you to find e-cards in the Eco 360 challenge, or you can scan those QR codes as well. We do have a quick second. If anybody has a question, a burning question, we have time for one before we move to our next speaker, but I don't have a lot of time to wait. So if I don't see any pop up, we're going to move on to our second speaker, who is actually our first speaker, who no longer has a fire alarm. So we're good to keep going. All right. If you do have questions for Jacob, feel free to pop them in the chat. Again, we will make sure we get to them by the end of the event. So if you want any clarification on any of those great things he was talking about, or you want to learn a little bit more about some options for repurposing some items, they make really great classroom activities. Feel free to pop that in the chat. Up next, I would like to welcome Mala Sharma. From cute and cuddly kittens to creepy, crawly insects, Mala has always had a passion and love for nature. She studied environmental studies at York University and embarked on her mission to become an environmental educator. She absolutely loves teaching about ocean conservation and is motivated to inspire youth around the world to take action against climate change. So welcome, Mala. So happy to have you here with no fire alarm behind you.
Oh man, I was freaking out. I was worried I wouldn't be able to talk to everybody, but I'm super glad that my fire alarm is not bothering me anymore. Rebecca, thank you so much for the introduction. And hello, everybody. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited to talk to you all about, my lovely organization that I work for, and talk to you all a little bit more about plastics. So as Rebecca said, my name is Mala, and I work for a lovely organization called OceanWise. And today, my program has been titled Overcoming the Waves of plastic. So we are looking at different themes of plastic that kind of connect to the overarching theme for today's program, which is zero waste. So as we go through today's program, let's all think about, different ways that we might use plastic and different ways plastic might impact our oceanic environments as well. Now, I'm actually speaking to you all from Toronto, Ontario, which is the traditional territory of many different nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat people. This land is also home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And before getting started, I just wanted to honor and extend my thanks to these communities who have been here since time immemorial, taking care of our wonderful land, sea, and sky. Now, before we start learning a little bit about plastic, I actually wanted to give you all an opportunity to share with me. And I want to know why the ocean is so important to you. What connections do you have to it? What do you love about the ocean? And why is it important to you? I'll read a couple things that come out in the chat. So feel free to share a couple of things with me. Rebecca jumped in first saying that they love whales, for sure. All right. We have somebody coming in saying swimming. Oh, for sure. I know water sports are really, really popular. I've always wanted to go surfing, so maybe one day. All right, somebody mentioned jellyfish. Yes, now we're getting into the animal kingdom a little bit. Ooh, looking at tide pools. That's really cool. You can see some pretty cool animals wash up in tide pools. Dolphins, the amazing view, fish, swimming, sharks, orcas. Oh, somebody came in right at the end saying it's like a whole different world. Yes, the ocean is honestly like an incredible different world. It's honestly insane to think that there's so many incredible animals. We barely know anything about it. There's still so much to explore in our wonderful, wonderful oceans. My friends, we get so much from our ocean. They're absolutely incredible and very, very important to us in many different ways. It's extremely diverse and very, very beautiful. We use it as a source of water, food, medicine. It inspires cultures around the world, and it produces most of the oxygen that we breathe. Hundreds of millions of people rely on oceans as a source of income, and then billions of people rely on it as a primary source of protein. So our oceans are incredibly important to sustain life on our planet. Now, today in the program, I want to go through 3 different things with you all. So today I'm hoping that we can discuss the plastic problem. We can explore what exactly microplastics and microfibers are, and then highlight some actions that we can take to further protect our ocean. At OceanWise, we're focused on kind of targeting 3 main issues that the ocean is going through right now, which I'm sure you are all kind of familiar with, which include climate change, ocean pollution, and overfishing. And we do that with the help of many incredible teams. But today, we're going to be talking about the plastic problem and plastic pollution in our ocean. Right now, my friends, plastics have invaded our oceans and are one of the largest problems that life both inside and outside of the ocean is facing. What are some of the effects of plastic on our ocean and on our Earth? Let's explore that a little bit more. I want to turn it back to you all. And I'd like to take this opportunity for you all to take a look around your classrooms or your bedroom or wherever you may be, and maybe point out 3 things that you see that are made out of plastic. You can message me in the chat, and you can hold them up onto the camera if you can see it. There we go. We have an adapter from Rebecca. We have a calculator from Rebecca. I know I have a marker.
It's like, can you tell I'm old?
Yeah, like a calculator. Come on. I have my mouse that I'm using is made out of plastic. What do we have coming in the chat? We have a phone, some bins, water bottles, pencil sharpeners. Yeah. Bunch of stuff. I'm sure as we're taking a look around, it's not too hard to point out a couple of things. I know I pointed out my marker, my mouse. I have, even the clothing on my body. It's made out of plastics. The computer that I'm talking to you through. We have Lego, cups, pens, headphones, markers, dog treat thing. Yeah, there we go. So it's not very hard to notice what has plastic in it. A lot of things have plastic in it. It's just so easy to use. I have another trivia question here that maybe we might have done already, but I wanted to know how long you all think it has taken to produce half of the world's plastic. Do we think it's taken around 50 years, around 30 years, around 20 years, or 15 years? What do we think? All right. I see Rebecca's holding up number 3. We have people coming in with 30 years. All right. It looks like it's pretty evenly spread out around between 1, 2, and 3. Oh, man. I think this one is going to shock you all. My friends, the answer is actually number 4. It has only taken 15 years. So about as long as some of you have been alive. It's taken around that long to produce half of the world's plastic in our planet. Despite everyone knowing how harmful plastic is, trends show that plastic production is actually still increasing as well. And just to kind of put to scale how much plastic we have, a lot of animals end up ingesting that plastic. Right now, around 90% of seabirds have some sort of plastic inside of their stomach. And if trends continue like this, by the year 2050, scientists predict that around 99% of seabirds will have ingested plastic. So it's really, really important to do what we can to reduce the amount of plastic that's entering our environments, because it's having a really, really big impact on wildlife. As Rebecca and Jacob were mentioning earlier as well, a lot of the plastic that is produced, it's so deeply embedded in our way of life, right? Like we use it in virtually everything. It's so cheap and it's so easy. But unfortunately, a lot of it is only designed for immediate disposal. So we're only using it once and then kind of discarding it. And none of that plastic ever completely goes away. What happens is our plastic actually just breaks down in the environment. So it'll go from really large plastics and eventually breaks down into small, tiny plastics that we call microplastics. And these microplastics can be as small as a grain of sand and sometimes even smaller. We can't even see it. But we have thousands of these, hundreds of thousands and millions of tiny little microplastics inside of our ocean. Right now, we actually have 50 times more microplastics in our ocean than we have stars in our galaxy. So we have a lot of plastics in our ocean, and it's all being ingested by wildlife. I have a video here that'll kind of break down how plastics is entering the bodies of our animal friends in the ocean. So let's watch this quick video and kind of see how plastic is entering the food system and the food chain as well.
Food chain. Microplastics don't just float about harmlessly. They've infiltrated the ocean ecosystem, largely by being accidentally ingested or mistaken for food.
It's getting ingested, eaten by organisms like zooplankton, and a fish ingests that zooplankton, and as it makes travel between oceanic zones, other animals that eat it are like, oh great, a delicious fish snack. So they are now predating that fish, and that fish has eaten a zooplankton, and that zooplankton has eaten a plastic, and so that fish is now the inheritor of a microplastic.
There we go. So this video really well explains how plastic is kind of being passed through the food chain. We're finding massive animals like whales and sharks that have also eaten plastics because the fish that they had eaten plastics. So plastics are entering our food chain, and it's really, really affecting wildlife and animals all around the world. Now, I mentioned, a lot of things have plastics in them, and I mentioned that our clothing also has plastic inside of them. OceanWise has a team of plastics researchers that is working super, super hard to learn more about the ways microfibers and microplastics are affecting our environment. Part of their job is to test water samples and see if they can find any microplastics that are hidden in the water, and this is what it can look like. So I wanted to see if you could all be OceanWise researchers today and help me kind of detect and determine if what we're looking at is a microfiber or an algae. So we're going to play a really fun game of guess who, microfibers or algae. So send in your guesses super, super quick. I'm going to show you a picture, and you have to guess if it is a microfiber or an algae. Let's get started off with number 1. What do we think this is? Is this a microfiber or an algae? All right, we're getting algae for this one. Lots of microfiber. My friends, you would be correct. This is a plastic microfiber made from nylon fabric. This one was a microfiber. All right, what about this one here? What do we think this one is? Algae or microfiber? All right, we're getting a lot of algae across the board for this one. Algae, 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 algae. Looking like everybody's guessing algae. I think only one person guessed microfiber, and you would be correct. This is green seaweed, definitely an algae. And then we have one last one here to show you. What could this one be? This one's a little bit trickier. Starting off with a guess for algae, then going to microfiber. Oh, you are all overwhelming me with your answers. So many answers. I love the participation today. Looks like everybody's guessing microfiber, and you would be correct. This is actually what packing foam. A lot of our packages come with this. Looks like underneath a microscope. Good job. I think we have some plastics researchers in our call today. That's a fun little activity. Well, my friends, we took a look at the effect that plastic has on our oceans. Unfortunately, it is really, really affecting our Earth and our ocean, but there's a lot of things that we can do to kind of combat that. I don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to try to skip through a bunch of these slides as fast as I can. But you can actually get involved, and what you do in your communities and in your environment really makes a difference. For example, Canada has actually banned 6 single-use items like checkout bags, surf sticks, and a bunch of other things. And they were able to do that because of people leading shoreline cleanups and kind of submitting their data and what they're seeing in their environments to the government so that we could then put in policies to ban those items from or just ban those single-use items so that we don't have to use them anymore and we can find alternatives so that they're not hurting our environment anymore. So getting involved in things like shoreline cleanups can really, really make a big difference. It can help us collect data and learn about what types of plastics we're finding in our environment. Another thing that you can do if you want to reduce the amount of microfibers you're shedding into the ocean is just changing the way that you wash your clothes. By using cold water and using a gentle cycle, you can reduce your microfiber shedding by up to 70%, which would make a really, really big difference. And the last thing I would urge you all to do is to just share the knowledge and educate each other. Today, you're all here learning about plastic and learning about how you can get to zero waste and how you can reduce your consumption. Hopefully, you've learned something new and you can go home and share what you learned with other people in your community. And we can continue having these conversations and raising awareness and all come up with solutions together to help protect our lovely, lovely oceans and our lovely, lovely planet. And that's all I have for me. So thank you all so much for listening to my presentation. Again, sorry about my fire alarm, but I hope you all enjoyed the program. And I'm so excited to continue learning and discussing ways that we can protect our oceans together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for rolling with the punches with your dealing with your fire alarm in the background. We appreciate it. So much big information in one little presentation. So we appreciate all of your knowledge and all of your expertise you were able to share with us today. Again, if you have a question, go ahead and pop it in the chat. We might have 2 minutes quickly to answer one before we move on. For our last 2 presenters, what we're going to do is we're going to, first off, share with you all a way that you can take immediate action in your everyday lives. And then I do have a couple students just at the end of our event that are going to share a specific action that they've taken in their classroom as well. So first off, I would like to welcome my friend Sime. So Sime is passionate about community development and youth work. He is also the grant administrator for the Commit to Act grants. He's looking forward to providing support to those working to create a greener Canada through this role. So I would like to welcome Sime to go ahead and share a little bit more about what the Commit to Act grant is and how youth or teachers can get involved in that today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate it. So I'll just share my screen. And please let me know in the chat if you guys can see my screen or a thumbs up. Perfect, perfect. So Commit to Act is a platform that TakingITGlobal developed in partnership with the organizations here today and the Government of Canada. So our goal with this platform is to help encourage the taking of action, so turning your knowledge into results and helping reduce carbon emissions. So here is our front page, really highlighting the importance of preserving things down, kind of like a habit tracker, really encouraging competition and helping measure the total impact that we all take. Oftentimes it's hard for us to realize that we're making a difference because it feels so small, but when everybody takes one step forward, we're able to turn that into many miles of change and progress. So if you guys do sign up to our website, here are some examples of actions that you can register on the app. So washing your clothes in cold water, using sustainable transportation, like biking or walking or public transit, getting a plant-based diet, reducing microplastics, avoiding fast fashion, and finding other ways to be able to look good, feel good, but also help the environment. And of course, working with plants, sowing seeds, gardens, etc. So through our app, once you guys register, you'll have the opportunity to join a group, create groups with your friends, with your classmates, and then you guys can like sort of organize a competition maybe with the next class or another group of friends to see who can help reduce the most carbon emission. So here we have an example of different groups and the total CO2 that they've helped reduce. And then you'll also be able to log actions, as you guys can see here. Yeah, perfect here. So normally you would add an action that you took, you take a photo of it, you share it with everybody, and then that way you guys get to be part of a larger community, get some accountability and some support. So as part of this Commit to Act platform, we've launched some micro grants, so you guys will be able to get some funding, $350 to be exact, that students or teachers or youth groups can apply for in Canada to be able to run some cool projects. So here I have a few examples of projects that you guys could organize. So for example, let's start right here, buying water bottles or reusable lunch containers to help avoid microplastics. Maybe do a field trip to the local recycling center, having an upcycling crafts project with your classroom, organizing a bike day at your school, class trip via public transit, so you could use the 350 to help pay for public transportation, having creating a plant-based recipe book or a nutrition workshop, learning how to compost, creating a butterfly garden, organizing a clothing drive, learning how to sew or knit, learning how to thrift shop, which is pretty cool and fun, and learning how using cold water can help the environment. So these are just a few examples of ways that you guys can create some change with the funds that we are providing. The grant closes on April 15th. So I believe that's in about a little less than 2 weeks. Here's an example of the application process. So it's pretty clear and straightforward. You'd enter your first name, last name, mention the type of applicant you are, whether you're a teacher, a student, etc. Contact information, preferred method of contact, your project start and end date. So the project end date can be no later than May 30th, just as a heads up. Funds would be transferred either by e-transfer, direct deposit to the school, a check, or we can do the shopping for you and send it over. And then you'd have to create an account on the Commit to Act platform, enter your budget, provide a community reference, so just someone who's aware of your project and who'd be able to support you. And that's about it. That's the application process. Then I'd get in touch with you. I'd follow up if there's any missing information. And that's it. You get $350 to be able to do a cool activity and a project with your classmates or with your students, if you're a teacher, to create some change. So I'll share the application link on
I popped it in there for you already.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah, and
really
thank you so much for sharing. I also wanted to say, if anybody here follows us on social media, we've been sharing some of the actions that some of our decarbonized schools have been taking with this grant. And it's so awesome to see. Some schools are planting trees in their communities. I know some of them are doing like vegetarian lunch parties with their decarbonized group. So it's lots of different things that you can do. So if you want that $350 to do something fun with your class, super easy to do. So thank you very much.
We welcome you all. We really want to help make a difference, and it's the youth, it's you guys that are gonna make the difference long term. So we're trying to invest in you guys, and we'd love to have you guys join us. So thank you so much. That was it for me. I'm very glad that I got to speak with you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And of course, again, if you want clarification on any of that, feel free to type it in the chat. I'm sure somebody would be happy to clarify anything. We have one last guest presenter before we let everyone go. I know we're coming to the end of our time, but they've been waiting so patiently. And I saw them sharing some plastic on their screen as well. I would like to welcome Bridget and Cara, who are joining us from their school in Ottawa to share about their zero waste project that they've been doing with their school. So girls, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and share your presentation, and we would love to see what you have been working on.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Okay, share screen. There we go.
Looks perfect.
Okay. Oh, can you guys see it?
Yep.
You can? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Get started.
You can start.
As we start a presentation, we acknowledge that we are on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin people.
We extend our gratitude to the Algonquin Nation for allowing us to gather on these lands and recognize their enduring care and protection in this territory.
We honor their long history and commitment to learning and respecting their culture and rights.
Okay. So our Eco Club initiatives.
So today we are excited to share the 7 key initiatives that our school's Eco Club has embarked on to pursue our ambitious goals.
Waste-Free Wednesdays. This new program aims to significantly reduce our school's waste production by encouraging everybody to minimize waste one day at a time.
Our recycling program. We've set up a system where 1 or 2 students from each class are responsible for bringing the class's recycling to a central location where Eco Club members assist in assuring everything is correctly sorted.
Our battery recycling. To handle hazardous wastes like batteries, we've placed battery bins in every classroom, including the library and staff room. These are collected quarterly for proper disposal.
Lunch monitoring system. Eco Club volunteers provide guidance in the cafeteria, helping everyone correctly sort their waste and educating them on the importance of doing so.
Outdoor classrooms. Eco Club volunteers provide guidance in the cafeteria, helping everybody to correctly sort. Bird feeders. We've crafted bird feeders using peanut butter and seeds to support our feathered friends during the challenging winter months.
Awareness campaigns. Through morning announcements and other channels, we've made an effort to ensure that every student is aware of these initiatives, understanding the importance and impact of our collective action. Why do we believe these initiatives are critical? They serve as powerful examples of taking the initiatives, stepping up with these solutions and actions can truly make a difference. Our goal of zero waste presents a daunting challenge, but it's far from
Insurmountable.
With continued effort and initiatives, we are making tangible progress toward a more sustainable future.
We share our journey not just to celebrate our achievements, but to inspire action. Each step we take towards sustainability at St. Peter's can serve as a blueprint for others, proving that even small initiatives can lead to significant environmental impacts. Together, by fostering a culture of responsibility and action, we can inch closer to our goal of zero waste. Thank you for being part of this essential journey. This will be difficult to achieve, but not impossible. By continuing to do initiatives like the ones just listed, we could really make a difference.
That's it from us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And can I just say, if I could hire you two to make all of my presentations from now on, I would do it in a heartbeat. That was so well done. And the teamwork, like that was wonderful. I think that was really, really good examples of some activities that the classes joining us today could try to implement into their classrooms going forward. So thank you so much. Wonderful job. I do have a couple last things that we need to chat about before I let everyone go. So this is your last chance. If you have any comments or questions, your last chance to get them in the chat before we sign off. I would also love to hear in the chat if anybody would like to share with me the action they are planning to take for Earth Month, because I know some of our schools are planning some amazing things. So if you have it, now's your chance to put it in the chat. Now, couple reminders before we go. There's a great quiz that would be very fun if everybody here could take. You can do it individually as one person. You can do it as a pair or a small group. You can even do it as an entire class if you have a whole class together. It's just a couple questions, kind of like a fun little quiz that you get to do, and then it tells you which national park on the planet you are, so you can learn a little bit about some national parks around the world. Also, if you have a cell phone in front of you, super easy to just scan that QR code or click the link that we just shared. Then I also have a couple reminders of some other upcoming events. So if you liked this event and you want to get involved in more of our events, you can head over to cgeducation.org or click on the link that I just shared. We have an Earth Day event for our younger kiddos that are with us today. I know we're kind of an in-between age group. So if you are a part of that kind of older age group, your other option is to join our Decarbonize live stream. So we have an upcoming global launch where we're joining with all of our schools from around the world, and they're going to be sharing similarly to what our friends just did, some of their youth actions that they're going to be doing. So if you would like to join that, that would be awesome if you're an older group. Oh yeah, and I also have this little reminder of this survey that we have. So any Canadian youth is welcome to add their thoughts to our survey. The survey is only open for 2 more weeks. You can find the information on our Decarbonize website as well. But yeah, it's just sharing ideas about how climate change is affecting you, and ideas of what you think we should be doing for climate change. So any Canadian youth joining today, I would love to hear your answers on this. One final link I'm going to share with you, and that is, don't forget to sign up for our mailing list. So if you want to give your students a chance to share live at one of our upcoming events, like our friends just did, the best way to do that is to sign up for the newsletter, because then you get those first picks at all of our upcoming stuff, and you can have your students share live. Lots of information. So we've got a quiz for you to do. We've got a survey for you to fill out. We've got upcoming events for you to sign up for. I did want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our friends that were able to share with us today: OceanWise, GreenLearning, TakingITGlobal. So much information in such a short event. Oh, and of course, thank you to Bridget and Cara, our student presenters. Lots of great stuff. We're like 5 minutes over, but if anybody does have a burning question, you're welcome to stay and ask your last couple questions. But that is the end official stop of our live event. So thank you so much for joining us for our in lieu of Zero Waste Day. And we hope that you guys can all take some zero waste actions. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So nice. You guys did wonderful. Thank you for all your hard work.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.